Prayer, followed by revival, is a consistent theme in Scripture, church history, and the church today. In this video, we will review all three themes. The goal of revival in the ELCA today is to renew the church for the ministry of discipleship in the world. It's a vision that sees the ELCA becoming an evangelizing church. As Lutherans gather to be refreshed through the Word and have prayer for renewal, healing, and commitment, they ask God to prepare them as evangelizing leaders to live the Great Commission daily. Statistics show the need for revival in the ELCA. According to ELCA congregational reports, the number of baptized members, confirmed members, congregations, and average worship attendance all are in decline.
Revival's a word that makes some Lutherans nervous because it has a history, especially associated with the Great Awakenings, that seems to suggest that worship is about a gathering of individuals experiencing and coming to terms with their faith individually. In other words, it's people in the presence of other people, but the communal dynamic can be lost in talk of a decision related to my faith in God, rather than what it means to be called and gathered into the people of God. So when it comes to a word like revival, Lutherans often say, let's talk about renewal, either instead of or in addition to, whereas maybe it's healthier to think that revival is a word that we too can claim.
When beginning a discussion on any topic, Lutherans first turn to Scripture. The Old Testament tells the story of God's repeated offer of renewal and redemption.
When you look at the Scriptures, you can actually see the entire biblical story as one of renewal, in that God's bringing new life to individuals, communities, and the whole creation. Already from the time of Adam, we have a story of renewal, in that when Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, God provided them with protective clothing so that they could make a new life outside of the garden. And of course, the first thing that happens is that Eve is able to give birth to Cain with the help of God, so that the family of humanity goes on. The early Christians, especially like the story of Noah, it symbolized how God was preserving life. So when they leave the ark, Noah sacrifices, and God makes a promise that he'll never again destroy the earth. And then he also blesses Noah and all the families of the earth through Noah, and makes a covenant not only with humanity but also with all creation. We see that God makes a covenant with Abraham. God renews the covenant with Isaac, Abraham's son, and also with Jacob. And then we see God remembering the covenant when the people are in Egypt and crying out. So God remembers the covenant and comes down and once again interacts. And then there's a making of a new covenant at Sinai. So a renewal of a relationship, it's initiated by God, and it brings the people into a new relationship with God.
As good Lutherans, we believe that the church is always reforming and reviving and renewing. The best example that I can think of from the Old Testament scriptures is in the time of the exile, when Ezekiel's community, we get a report of what they're saying, and they're saying, we're dead, we're done for, our bones are all dried up. And then we get that great revival story of the Valley of the Dry Bones coming back to life and being brought back, not just as a great community, but as a great army. And so that kind of surprising renewal, when they think they're done for, when they think they're dead, is at the very moment when God is working to bring them back to life.
The story that actually really resonates with me in the New Testament is at the end of Luke's Gospel, the disciples on the Emmaus Road. And there you see two disciples, it's the first day of the week, Christ has been crucified, and they are really down. Their world has come to an end. Their mentor, their friend, their teacher is dead, as far as they know. And with his death has died all their hopes for a renewed Israel, a renewed community, and they walk along, and this stranger meets them on the road and opens up the scriptures to them. And we're told their hearts burn within them. When Jesus breaks the bread, they recognize who he is. To me, that's sort of a quintessential, that's about new life in a very tangible kind of way, because they are so down, they are so depressed, and they're so energized when they recognize Jesus and see Jesus in the breaking of the bread. They run all the way back to Jerusalem.
Well, I think that we have to look at renewal in the scriptures from the beginning to the end, and it's the same God that's acting through both the Old Testament and the New Testament. And God's always working to bring out new life and a renewed relationship.
From the Gospel story to the book of Acts, the epistles, and on through Revelation, the New Testament echoes themes of revival and renewal.
God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And for that reason, he is moving in his church. And I believe the same thing that happened on the day of Pentecost can happen in the church today.